Hey, welcome to Guitar Knobs, the guitars, gear, noise, and nonsense podcast, hosted today by these knobs.
Tony Dudzik, Pick Guardian.
Garrett Brandon, down in Nashville, Tennessee.
Hey, everybody, it's me, Todd Novak. Welcome to the Guitar Knobs podcast. We are thrilled to death that you are listening to our show.
Yes, we are.
The Guitar Knobs podcast, where we talk about, what do we do, Tony, real quick?
We talk about boutique gear. We talk about builders of gear. We talk about not so boutique gear. This is good stuff that we got today.
Yeah.
But, we like to get the whole story, the truth behind the truth. And, that's what we do.
And a little bit and just a little sprinkle of nonsense.
Yes. Or nonsense.
Nonsense. If you have one of our first run t-shirts. Spelling error. Dang it.
Stupid spell check.
I love it, man.
Anyways, we have a fantastic guest that we're going to be talking to do. We can't wait to do this. Guest, who are you?
I'm Alex G from Blackstar.
All right.
Thank you for joining us. And you're calling from where in France?
Nowhere in France. But I'm coming from just outside Northampton, England, where Blackstar HQ is based.
Nice.
Perfect.
Sweet.
And you can tell he's not an AI bot because he said HQ, not HQ.
Oh.
That's the trick. It's that, or it's when you put the three fingers up, for three.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's like if you do the thumb, the index, and the
That's
middle.
German.
That's the German. The three, the pinky, the ring in the middle is, what is that? That's okay.
That means
It makes an okay sign.
I think that's French.
Yeah.
And then, but the three middle fingers, or the three fingers.
Yeah. Anyways, he's
know how we
what
know
the hell
that?
are you guys talking about?
Well, we do it slightly different in the UK as well. So
Yes.
we put index finger on both hands and one toe up.
Nice.
Oh,
Nice.
that's convenient
Yeah.
if you're in a bar.
Yeah.
I love it.
I like using the two middles myself.
Yes.
Anyways.
That was a reference to Inglourious Bastards.
Yes. The giveaway. So we're going to talk to, now you might be saying, wait, guys. A little thing from Dumb and Dumber right there.
There you go.
That's great.
We just had, you guys just had Blackstar on, didn't you? Yes, we did. And it was an incredible
It was a
set
doozy.
of two
I missed
episodes.
it, so they had to come back on so I can be on it.
Yes.
Exactly, because Jared is the biggest Blackstar fan in the UK,
I've
USA.
had my HD60 for about, 8-10 years, a little more than 10 years.
Yep.
Oh,
10
nice.
years.
Cool.
I still have it, best sounding amp.
Yeah.
There you go.
So we had that episode and we learned all about, that was really mostly focused on who is Blackstar and why don't we know very much about them.
Or as much as we should.
As much as we should. Yes, that's a great correction.
That's what I'm here for.
Thank you. What we're talking about today, because we touched on the second half of that episode with Blackstar, we talked about the Amped 1, which absolutely blew us away.
Yes.
What we didn't know is at the time, they were actually about to launch the Amped 2 and Amped 3, which was a huge surprise to me and a very nice one. Mm-hmm. So we said, well, we need to find out more about these because these truly are game-changing.
Absolutely.
Line of
Absolutely. No, because,
equipment.
if I dreamt about gear like this when I was lugging around stuff in the 1980s playing out, I said, God, wouldn't it be great if you could just have something really small that had all your effects and everything into it? And, you might not even need a cabinet. You could just run it out into the house mix. Mm-hmm. And lo and behold, 40-some years later.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty sweet bits of a kit, as you guys might say over there. Now, we're going to dive into that in just a second, but we need to take care of a bunch of nonsense ahead of time. And first of all, we need to say I got a great letter from Mark Paget. And I wanted to share this. Mark Paget says, "Hey, Todd. Man, the past few episodes you guys have spun up have had me in stitches, laughing to the point of almost being in tears. I typically listen to you guys during my drive home from work, It is a great relaxation for me to listen to you and your band of merry gentlemen on a regular basis. You are, however, at fault, for making me look like a hysterical idiot on occasion. Oh, okay, I can deal with that.
Welcome to the club.
That's usually Jared's role.
Some of the you guys say and the way that you laugh at each other makes me laugh, and always at the exact same time I'm at a red light or merging into a rotary, and I often get stares from cars as if I'm deranged lunatic and stuck in traffic.
If the shoe fits.
Yes. So keep up the great fun and watch for my name in the news to see if I get committed to a nut house. I might need a reference.
All right.
Delightful note from Mark Paget, one of our longtime supporters.
Mark, we'll post bail and get you out, and you can come recoup with us.
Yeah,
we'll break you out.
We love hearing things like that, and because we truly do love what we're doing here, and it's nice. It's nice to hear that.
I like his little quote at the bottom.
Oh, yeah, there's a little quote. He says, music washes away from the soul the dust of everyday life. That's from Red Auerbach. Tony?
Is that some relation to Dan?
I don't know.
Or maybe that's his nickname.
Maybe. Don't know. Anyways, not familiar with Red Auerbach, but now we all have to look that up.
Yep. Google.
Anyways, let's get on to what's going on in our music world this week. And we're going to start off with the voluptuous and varicose Tanya
Varicose? Voluptuous and varicose do not belong in the same sentence. I'm sorry, Todd. I think you need to get your
I was looking for V words that
get your thesaurus out.
Voluminous.
Voluminous is probably more appropriate.
Tanya Bolonsky, go ahead. And then we're going to check in and we're going to find out what's going on with Alex G.
Well, Todd, a couple of weeks ago, I was told you how disappointed that I wasn't going to be able to have a Union Jack Ricky-style guitar to kind of go along with your 335-style Union Jack.
Yeah.
Well, lo and behold...
Did I use that
already?
Low and behold.
Two low and beholds today.
Yeah.
I got a message from the seller that I had originally ordered one from, and he said, "Are you still interested in this?" And he sent photos of the actual finished guitar, and I wrote back, "How soon can you ship?" He said, "Today."
Wow.
So I said, "Okay, the deal is back on." So I've been tracking it. It landed in the United States of America. Mm-hmm. It'll still probably be at least a week because they got to unload the plane and all that stuff. But this is a Ricky-style guitar. Mm-hmm. It's got 3 mini humbuckers. It has a Bigsby on it. There are some differences, but the thing I really love about it is it's got a Union Jack on the front of the guitar.
That's cool.
And that's, that to me, I love that motif, whether it's on, Noel Gallagher's or I think there's been a few other people that have had Union Jacks on guitars.
Possibly.
There had to be.
Okay, now let's hop on over to Alex since we're already talking to him. Alex, what's going on in your music world this week?
Music world, well, I mean, obviously the Amp 3 launch, that's the big one.
Will that be available in a Union Jack?
I don't think it will. Not for launch.
I do have a Union Jack
awesome,
Vox wah pedal.
Yeah.
I did like that one.
Yeah, that's cool. Anyways, back to Alex, Tony.
Okay, sorry. Didn't mean to interrupt.
So you launched that. That was a pretty big deal. And that's one of the things we're going to talk about, everybody, just so you understand that. That's coming in the episode.
I think the biggest thing that happened like this week in my guitar world is probably nothing to do with Blackstar. Is that all right?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So my dad makes classical guitars. So he's been doing this for since he graduated from college. So he's just been given an award from the king for services of music.
Wow.
Whoa.
So yeah, that's pretty cool.
What does he have a brand name or is he just Mr. G?
He's
a Sir G. Sorry,
Sir G.
Why not? Let's call him sir. No, I think it's he's getting a British Empire Medal, which makes him a BEM.
BEM.
So.
That sounds so cool.
It does, right?
Yeah.
You know what else does? It's just the fact that there's a king now.
That's weird.
I've been waiting for that for a long time.
What a
I'm sorry. No, it's weird. Like I'm sad that the queen passed, but honestly, she had a really long life. You know.
Yeah.
But I think that's really cool. The King of England. You could say that now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, does King Charles keep the corgis? Is he a corgi fan like his mom was, or?
Well, I hope so. What's the other option? Are they John?
Bull Mastiff? I don't know.
Yeah. Anyways, oh boy.
Well, it would be an English Mastiff.
Yes. Okay. Alex, I don't know what to say.
We tend to go off tangent every once in a while.
You'll probably take that out. Anyway.
My job is to keep this on track. Okay, so does he have? Is it like a brand name? Does he have a brand name, or is he just a guy, or like how does this work?
Yes, I think he's got the British Empire Medal. So it's at the end of his name will be BEM.
But his guitar company.
Well, his guitar company is him, so
Right.
It's just Michael G Guitars.
Michael G. All right.
G stands for guitar.
Well, we'll have to. Everybody go look that up and see what you can find on the internet.
There's not much on the internet. That's the thing.
Okay.
He's never done any marketing or
Wow. So he got a medal for. They must be good.
I suppose, yeah.
Unless they're just handing those BEMs out. Cool. Well, thank you for sharing that. We're gonna get into your world in depth here in just a couple minutes.
How about Jared?
Jared, about yourself?
Oh yeah, it's time for my week thing. So I'm going up to Fremont and next week for home to visit for a while for a few occasions. One of the occasions is a really good friend of mine I've been playing music with since early high school. He hasn't really had a lot of great guitars in his life. He really hasn't. He's a couple decent ones here and there just to get him by. And I bought him an acoustic. I don't even remember what brand it is, just some across the pond brand, inexpensive acoustic guitar about 10 years ago.
Probably the other pond, the East Pond, right?
Yeah. The one where the not so great guitars come from.
The Pacific Pond.
Okay, anyways.
Right. Well, you know where I'm getting at.
Yeah.
So he's had it for like 10 years and it doesn't sound good at all. And he's been writing all these awesome songs with this thing. And I've had him borrow other guitars, but he just goes back to that one. And I'm just tired of it. I mean,
Well, maybe
he's not, clearly.
But I just I don't like the way it sounds. I think it's
okay.
So here's what I'm going to do. I've got the Blue Sparkle Telecaster thin line.
Yeah.
And Zach, we all know who Zach with Brandon Wound is. He's a Grand Poobah.
Yes.
He is trading. I'm going to trade him for his 1974 Martin D35.
Okay.
And I am going to gift the 74 Martin D35 to my friend Mike.
Okay.
Wow.
I've got some bad sounding guitars.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you like to see me play something that sounds very nice?
I don't care about you.
Oh, you're killing me. You're killing me.
I'm just kidding. You do have nice sounding guitars, you fat liar.
Yeah. Hey, you don't have to get personal.
Yeah.
No,
that's a really nice gesture.
The lying is fat. The lying is fat, not you.
That's
you're voluptuous.
That is,
I'm voluptuous. Yes, thank you.
No, seriously. He deserves it. He's never had an upper scale, like a nice vintage upper quality.
Well, that's nice
guitar, and I'm sick and tired of it. I gotta just give it to him.
Well, that's nice. I think.
Hopefully he actually. I think I'm going to offer to trade him for the other one.
Why don't you do that? That way you'll know for sure he'll play it.
Yeah, I hope so.
And then just put it in a case. No, don't smash it. It has sentimental value to the guy.
Okay, burn it.
No, don't
If
burn
I give it to somebody else, then I'm somehow going to hear it in the future, and I'm going to know it.
Yeah.
I'm going to be upset about it. So.
Yeah, accidentally fall on it. Okay, let's see here. So what? My
Oh, hey,
music
Todd, how about you?
Yes,
I'll forget every day.
I know.
Every time.
So I got a really cool thing that is called the JHS Switchback. They put out that video that like blew up the whole internet about the monkey pedal.
Oh, yes.
And one of the things that he was showing like the difference on was this switchback pedal. Essentially, what it is, it's a pedal that allows you to choose, like, for lack of better terms, an effects on the left or an effects on the right. So an A B, you get to use effect A or effect B.
Okay, so like an A/B box.
It's kind of like an A B box for your pedals.
Okay.
Which is a nice little thing because it's a single pedal. It's kind of like if you took the idea of a switcher or looper, but just made it one pedal. You're not plugging in necessarily all the isolated pedals and then making up all kinds of different combinations. This is ideal for me because I've been trying to figure out a way to incorporate a fuzz tone on like a lead or something like that, right? If I do that, I have a stacked pair of drives that I use for my basically always on sound. In order for me to do that live, I would have to be one hell of a tap dancer without getting a very expensive switcher / looper, like the Boss model that allows you to plug in all kinds of pedals and make your own combinations and do your presets and everything. So this works great for keeping your pedal board small and doing simple things. So this way, via a remote switch, now they're famous for their red remote, which is a single button controller for most of their pedals. Via that switch, I can just toggle between here's my main drive sound or here's a totally other drive sound, or you could switch any other kind of pedals, but just illustrating this for my purposes, without having to turn one on and then turn one off separately, which is impossible doing that live if you're in the middle of something. So I'm really excited about this, and it's a great idea for a pedal. I'm pretty sure I can put a couple of pedals as long as it's in a single loop or a single chain of those pedals.
Well, yeah, that's what it really is. It's an effects loop switcher.
It is.
It
it's
has
just
two,
but just for two things. That's it. So I'm doing my own remote pedal, for lack of better terms, that I'm building. Which, because it's like I could pay for the red remote, but I thought, well, no, I'll have a bit of fun and just make my own. And I want to do it in a different form factor because the little tiny red one is, a little bit precarious, I think. So I'm using the slightly longer, like a mini pedal box, and making it white so I can see it really, really clearly and just be able to stomp down on that.
Well, those clever devils at JHS put the circuit board upside down so you can't see what's in it.
Yeah. Yeah. But anyways, it's a really cool piece of equipment. I'm very excited to try to incorporate that into my actual live setup.
Did they say that is it a buffered input?
I didn't. I just got it.
Okay.
I didn't dig into that.
I was just curious
great.
because I think that would make sense if you're running it through effects loops. It should have some. I would think it would have buffer on it, but who knows?
Yeah, look it up.
I will look it up.
Anyways, so the JHS switchback. That's what I got.
Nice.
More to come on that. Hopefully, it's very successful. And let's. Speaking of pedals, Tony.
Yes, Todd.
One of my favorite things to do is rearrange pedals, as we all know.
I have seen videos of you doing it. I have a camera posted in your guitar room.
And Alex, for whatever reason, I have a tendency to decide to do this literally 15 minutes before I'm leaving for a gig.
Yes.
You know what I should do is I wonder what the blues driver would sound like. No, not the blues driver. And the last gig we had, honestly, I'm not even kidding. 15 minutes before my pedal board was in completely undone, and I don't know why I do that, but I do, and I like finding out what different combinations can do and everything. So
yeah, but not 15 minutes before the gig.
I know that's a problem, but in order to do that, something that comes in very handy are Tour Gear patch cables.
Oh yes, I know them and I love them.
Oh, I love Tour
We love the Tour Gear patch cables, and I'll tell you something else that Tour Gear has been very, very handy for is hooking up the Amped 1 and the Amped 2.
Tell us more.
And the Amped 3.
Oh, now the M3.
Yes. So because they have varying lengths,
Yes.
you don't have to hook up big giant actual guitar cables.
Oh
right?
yeah.
So
who wants that?
You don't have, loss of tone and piles of cables laying around.
Yes.
So it makes it very useful to have that, at your feet. Or I've been using them like on the desk to actually record into.
Oh.
And then that way I use the longer patch cables that they make, and it has been so helpful. So thank you, Tour Gear, for making patch cables that are longer than just your regular.
Well, Jared has something to
I know.
to
I'm
ask.
just trying to get my part done.
Jared.
I know,
Nothing.
I interrupt
Okay.
always at the wrong time. I actually use Tour Gear cables at the Gibson Lab, and I use the shortest one they sell to test outputs on guitars, so I don't have to take the wire harness cover off, the back cavity cover off all the time. So that's another great use for Tour Gear cables.
Well, awesome. That's I see what he's. Okay,
Oh,
I
yes,
got it. Yeah,
yes.
it's outside of the guitar. Okay,
But beyond that, these are flat cables with a very tiny jack.
Yep.
Basically the size of your output jack.
Yep.
Just wonderful things.
Perfect.
Variety
And
of sizes.
which I mentioned. You
Comes
can get
in one color.
10% off. 10% off with the guitar knobs in the coupon code area. Okay, so make sure you do that.
Load up your shopping cart.
Yep. Go to tourgeardesigns.com. Thank you to Tour Gear for sponsoring our 4 on the floor. Jared.
Let me get a little bit of this.
1, 2, 3. 4 on the floor. All right, Alex G from Blackstar Amps. What is your 4 on the floor?
So, first, I think is this cheating that it's an Amped 1?
Well, considering the show, I think that's fine.
Is that fine? It is a pedal.
Yes, it is. Go for it.
Yeah, so I definitely have that. I think we've been playing that obviously way before it came out, designed during lockdown and developed during lockdown. So I've been playing this for a long time now. And I think if I were to have only 4 pedals, that would definitely be one of them, just because the kind of flexibility and everything that you can do with that.
Yeah.
And the kind of sounds that I think me and you are kind of alike, Todd, for the kind of sounds that we would want for that kind of Britpop kind of thing.
Yeah.
I think that's just such a great kind of bass tone for accepting a lot of pedals.
It is. And you just said a key thing there, accepting a lot of pedals. In doing that, it is absolutely, I would say, critical that you use the loop, the provided loop, to do that. Yeah,
exactly. The that little extension cable that you can have a loop just from one jack. Yeah, that was a cool thing we did.
Yeah, it's a really smart thing to put in, and it does affect the sound quite a bit. So, you talked about the Amped 1 really quick, and I know we're going to spend most of our time about the Amped 2 and 3, but that Amped 1, that has made it into our latest recordings that we're about to release.
Oh, nice.
The guy who runs a studio here, I said, hey, I'm gonna leave this with you. Check it out. He recorded somebody else's stuff. He's got an entire room of amps, like really nice amps. and cabs and everything. But the thing is, a lot of guys will come in, and if you're just like punching in, like, hey, I need to do an overdub, I need to fix this track or whatever, or just add something that's a little bit different that you can dial in really quick. I mean, he's used that already on several recordings.
That's great.
Yeah,
that's great.
I mean,
and that's just direct.
It is, and it's not. So it isn't just a novelty thing to make it easier to play at home. I mean, absolutely not. These tones are really nice and well done. So more on that later. How about number 2?
Number 2. So I would probably have my hand-built cheapest kit that you can get, Klon, that I got from AliExpress, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
I think that's, it's a great tone. I think it's not like an actual Klon, but it does a nice thing.
Yeah.
So.
You know, we just gave away a couple of those, and it's probably the same exact one.
Yeah, I would imagine.
Now, but we did a mod on them.
Yes.
Can you do you remember the mod for that, Tony?
Well, I think that John replaced a couple of the diodes, and I think the op amp, because he felt that the op amp that was in there was not even though it was marked as a. I think there was an op amp in there that he and I mean whatever he did to the one that I have. I said it's perfect. Plus, he put a pink LED in it, so
yeah, that's true.
That will change the sound. Yeah, that will definitely make it sound cool.
Dig it.
But no, it's So I purchased 4 or 5 of them, 6 of them, I don't know, because they were having some crazy blowout special on DH Gate, and I said, well, we can get one to each of the guys here, and then we'll give 1 or 2 away to our listeners.
Yeah.
And
I actually gave mine away to the listener.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, nice.
Yeah.
Good for you.
That's how we roll.
I see where I stand.
Yeah.
You hate me, don't you?
No, I loved the pedal, but I do love our supporters, maybe more.
No.
Okay, how about number 3?
Number 3, Strymon Timeline.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't think I've played it. Definitely not played a gig or played live or played with anyone without that connected. I use one setting too, and that's it.
Perfect. Yeah.
I know it's got a lot of options on there, but just
tons,
one is good for me. And I've saved, you can save the presets on there. I've saved the first 8 presets, so it doesn't matter which button I press to turn it on, it will always be the same sound.
That's actually really smart. That's a great idea, especially if you're in a live situation and those things happen, and then all of a sudden you're like, wait, what's going wrong? What happened to my tone?
That would be octo redundant.
Yeah. It's I've done that with a couple of my pickup selectors. Actually, I've had to either clip or shave down the toggle, or just completely remove the knob on it, because my hand ultimately flips it, and then all of a sudden I'm playing the terrible neck mud sound where it's supposed to be tearing through something, and it's lumbering like a woolen sweater. Anyways, number 4.
Number 4, I don't think you guys will be happy with this.
Uh-oh.
I love it already.
You said no tuners, but this is the closest that you can get, which is a volume pedal.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair.
Is that too boring? Shall I change my answer?
No. Yeah, go ahead and tell us about your super amazing volume pedal.
Oh, no. Oh, God. Can I change my answer?
No, you've already let the cat out of the bag.
Committed. Well, you obviously made a choice on one specific one, right?
It's the one that I have, which, again, I don't know the brand of.
It's the one that I have.
Why not? If it works, it works, right?
Yeah.
It's the one that I have. I painted it white about 8 years ago.
Okay.
So I can't see the brand on it anymore.
Okay.
Now, you prefer to use your foot instead of pinky swells on the guitar, or on the guitar volume, or?
Yeah, because I'm not very good at those. I think that with the Streamline and the Amp and the Klon, you can get a lot of different sounds just on that one setup. So with the volume pedal, so it depends where you got the volume pedal.
Oh, I agree. Yeah.
So you can put it in the loop of the Strymon. You can put it in front of the amp. You can put it in the loop of the amp. But I think if I was to choose only 4 and that was it, and I needed to get all of my sounds, and I think those would be the ones.
I'd never really thought about this, actually, but it sounds like what you're saying. Correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe I don't know how things work, which is entirely possible. If you put the volume pedal in your effects loop with the timeline, you could control just the volume of the timeline, but not affect your guitar signal. Is that correct?
So that would be in the loop of the timeline, because you can have an effects loop within the timeline.
Right.
So then you could swell in the
Effect.
the delays.
Yeah.
Right. Without affecting the overall volume of your actual guitar signal.
Yeah.
Because that's
Okay, that's cool. Why
That's
I
cool.
thought
There you
about that
go.
before?
So
That's
you might
really cool.
Now you're going to have a pedal with like 4 volume pedals,
Yeah.
one for each of your
my,
loops.
my loops.
Oops.
Yeah. No, that's cool. And so do you do that live often? Do you actually just swell your effects?
Yeah, so we're in a band at work, and we play a few things. That's the only kind of band that I'm in at the moment, like playing live. And basically, the sound is an amped one with some kind of drive in the front of it, and a Strymon timeline. So yeah, we play a lot of I play a lot of like support guitar, like ethereal kind of noises with that one Strymon timeline patch. So yeah, I do a lot of that.
That's cool. I can get behind that. See, now that's a great. We look at this great discussion we just had about a volume pedal.
That's almost a dirty little secret.
That is a dirty little secret. We're going to classify that as also a dirty little secret, which is a thing that we won't actually do anymore because that was a dirty little secret. So there you go, Mark Paget. You got a twofer right there. Alex, before we get into these amazing products that we have on our table, I think it would be helpful actually to learn a little bit about you, because you are very much responsible for bringing these things to life and getting a background of just like, who you are, what makes you tick, how you got into this arena and where your musical tastes are and all that stuff. Is that okay with you?
Of course, yeah.
Perfect. Let's do it.
I try and make it more interesting than the volume pedal.
The volume pedal was great. Don't undersell yourself. Don't do that. So what is your title there?
So I'm currently senior product developer.
Wow.
Sounds good.
That does sound good. I bet it is good too.
Maybe in a few years you can throw in an MEB at the end there.
Oh yeah. The BEM, you mean?
Or BME.
BME is a different thing. BEM.
BEM.
Yes.
BEM.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yeah, we really botched that joke up, didn't you?
Yeah, boy. It's no fun when you have to explain it.
It isn't. So as senior product manager, you are I know that Blackstar isn't like a multi-thousand people company. So I'm assuming that isn't just an illustrious title that you just manage a whole bunch of monkeys.
Definitely not. Just one monkey.
Okay.
Oh, no. He won't like me saying that.
Oh.
Sorry, Josh.
So you are truly your hands are in the development of these things.
Yeah, definitely. I think you probably got into it with Ian as well. We spend a lot of time doing the research on these new products, and we've got kind of a core team of people, the future products team, Department 10, that we kind of come up with the ideas. But it's not just like, oh yeah, we think this will be cool, so let's make one. It's a lot of research in there. There's a lot of something called human-centered design. So going out to users, doing a lot of surveys, a lot of that kind of stuff. Speaking to musicians, speaking to our dealers,
Yeah.
And understanding what really makes a good product is something that we do, and we spend a lot of time on it. So that's kind of a key role of my job.
Well, I'm looking at these, I'm hearing you, and I can say, and this is, I'm not trying to, win favors with you or anything, but when I'm looking at these products, and having talked to Ian and having, just already talking to you, like these products make me want to be like, I would want to work there. I would want to be involved in that. I would want to be part of something that you're doing here, because clearly those things are real. You're not just putting something out there to fill a gap or to me too the whole scene or anything like that. Yeah. I truly appreciate the thought of the user experience and the just the functionality of this. And if I were on the team, I would be incredibly proud.
That's really good to hear. I think it's interesting because when we do this every single day, we go into the office and we pour our hearts into developing these products and obsessing over the smallest things that you kind of sometimes have to step out on and going, what are we doing? Like, this high pass filter is taken over the last 2 weeks of our life, and probably no one will ever know about this, but it's good to get feedback like that from you or the market or and users, because it's why we do it. It's why we spend so much time and so much effort and all of our energy into making these products.
So when you have your team meetings or whatever, do you just go round table and say, hey, this is what we'd like to have on this pedal, and this is the kind of sounds that we're going after, and do you try to model after certain things?
Yeah, so for the sound wise, we always have benchmarks. So that can be our own stuff, vintage stuff, competitors' things in a market. Depends what kind of products we're designing. But say for the Amped, we wanted these to sound better than any product that we've ever made, and also tick the boxes for what that kind of product does. So, for example, the Amped 1, it was let's go out and find the best clean sound that we can possibly find for the USA setting, and let's go out and find the best UK sound that we've ever heard. And let's check it with all the pedals, and then let's check it against our valve stuff and the other things that we're playing at the minute. So
yeah. Well, I'm going to dig into this deeper in just a couple minutes. I think it would be great. You seem to light up when I mentioned my musical taste. Where does your musical history start?
So I've been around music for all of my life. So my dad's the guitar maker, classical guitar maker. So he's I've had that around me for. I hope
someday
he
gets recognized for his efforts.
The classical guitar world is so weird. It's a small but massive thing. Yeah. So I'm sure in his own little world. In the classical guitar world, not his own little world.
He's pretty much the man right now, I imagine.
He's a man, yeah. It's interesting.
They don't say the man in the classical world. Okay, I get it. Okay, so back to you. You started off with being around music. Where did you take off from there?
So from a kid, being introduced to Queen was probably my first. Kind of intro into rock and roll music, and then kind of from there, being a kid listening to Incubus and a lot of pop punk stuff, but always kind of the indie music, the Britpop stuff was where I wanted to be. A lot of Telecasters, AC30s is where I kind of grew up playing.
Now,
so yeah,
when you're on that, okay, I know that a lot of us know some of the main players out there, some of the bigger bands that kind of fell into that. Do you have a lesser known or sleeper band that you think that maybe never got its due, or that you still go back to in that big genre of music?
I think the band that I've been really into recently, and also like since I first saw them, like probably 10 years ago, a band called Delta Sleep.
Delta
They're
Sleep.
They're a math rock band, but their tone is brilliant. They're not the kind of math rock that makes you go cross-eyed. Can we say easy listening math rock, or like good math rock? But their tone is brilliant. Their music is fantastic. So yeah,
Okay.
I've been into those for a long time, and I think everyone in the world should know about them.
What was that, like 2000s?
That would have been 2000s. So like 2009, I think, is the first time I saw them.
Cool. Moving forward, what about your instrument tastes here?
Instrument taste. So again, since starting at Blackstar, we've got like one main voicing guitar, and it can kind of do everything. It's a really good sounding HSS Strat.
Okay.
And so I moved to the States for a couple of years working for Blackstar as well. And so I moved away from that guitar. So I ended up buying the same like year Japanese HSS Strat. So I could have one myself, like in the States. So that's just kind of, it doesn't even feel like my guitar anymore. It's just like the guitar, the thing. The one, yeah. And then everything else is just kind of around that kind of center point. So
okay. And so when you're playing, if you, I'm assuming you're not really anymore, I think you said, but were you, did you gig out quite a bit before, or?
Yeah. I've been in a few bands here and there. Definitely don't look them up though. They were pre Blackstar days, and when I was a spotty teenager. So
sure. Understand. We all have
some embarrassing hair choices.
Yeah. And I'm sure some interesting rig choices too.
Definitely.
Tell us about your first, at least what you thought was like, this is a real rig.
Oh no! So I was in a band, and it was a two-piece. So it was me, a laptop, and a singer. So not even a drummer, nothing. So yeah, that was interesting. But it was like electronic drums. It was playing along to backing tracks. It wasn't even Ableton Live or anything. It was just a backing track. And we thought it would be a good idea to MIDI control everything. So I had a MIDI switcher, switching a Line 6 Pod Pro rack thing that was all like hooked up to the backing tracks. But the main thing that again made it sound better was we had lighting all MIDI controlled via the backing tracks. So we actually had more light gear than we had musical gear.
That's great.
So yeah.
That
was interesting.
We kind of gave a bit of a laugh at the laptop thing. Sometimes I get stuck. I do have a little bit of a stutter and stick, so bear with me. But Tony gives me the eyebrows whenever I do that. I'm like, oh, that kicks me back in. There's a you might actually be pretty familiar with him. There's a guy under the guise of Scant Regard. He's the main guitar player for Adam Ant. Been touring with him forever. Will Crudson. And his solo act, which is called Scant Regard, is him and a full backing track, and he just goes nuts on guitar and plays guitar on stage all by himself.
Kind of like a NAMM show.
Except that's the thing that he does.
Guitar karaoke, as I like to call it.
He's also in a band called I think She Made Me Do It. I'm pretty sure. So yeah, he's a guy that can't put the guitar down. So it's like you gotta applaud the effort of like, hey, if you can't do it here, you do it somewhere else and do it the way that you need to take care of things. So I love Adamant. So, anyways, okay, back to finding out more about what's to know. At what point did you walked into Blackstar and you started making stuff? How did you find that path into there?
So that was an interesting one. I had 3 interviews for different jobs at Blackstar. So when they started advertising for jobs, it was around the time of development of the ID series, which was like Blackstar's first digital product. So my friend found the advert for like office assistant. So he actually ended up getting that job. He got fired like 2 months later.
All's well that ends well.
But I ended up doing well in the interview in a way that like they get you to set up some guitar gear and to get a tone and stuff. And they obviously thought I knew what I was talking about from a gear point of view. And I ended up getting the job as a software tester. So that was for our first digital product, the ID series, like finding all the bugs in it, finding all the little quirks of the system. That was kind of the first like intro into making a good UI.
Were you software capable, computer capable before you went into that? I'm assuming.
Nothing to do with code or anything, but that I was literally just testing the product like a games tester.
Okay,
like,
all right.
I could use it as an end user and kind of comment on it from that.
Gotcha.
Yeah. But so I was in that job for a fair few months. In the meantime, we were starting developing the ID core. So that came from a lot of market feedback and also Ian Robinson really pushing for that to be a thing, for a practice amp to actually sound like a real guitar amp and to have some nice features instead of just sounding like a little box of bees. And it being stereo and looking like the way it does, that was a big task that I was kind of overviewing from my desk software testing. I was kind of looking in on that. So I used to be a recording engineer before I started at Blackstar. So kind of my background in getting sounds and like actual audio engineering, I had more interest in the voicing side of stuff. So when they started voicing the ID core, that's when I got heavily like involved into the voicing of an amplifier. So, and that's what I did for probably 6 years, up until now at Blackstar, is to voice a lot of the products. So ID core, a lot of the valve amps as well. The way that we voice is very similar to our digital side. Yeah, that's how I got started.
Well, so the success of these products, I definitely don't want this to go understated, is that like you can make something that functions well, that looks great, that is smart, that's intuitive, that has all the bells and whistles, that does all the things. But at the end of the day, if it doesn't rock your socks off with the tone, it's worthless.
I agree.
So,
yeah.
Well done there.
And we don't call these worthless. None of this. So.
Yeah. It's again, it's all to do with the philosophy of Blackstar and the way that we go about doing stuff. Is we never release something that's not right, and that can be from the sound point of view, from the user experience point of view, from the looks of it, from the price. We've delayed a lot of products in the past because they haven't ticked all of those boxes. So,
right.
But it takes a long time and it takes a lot of people and a lot of thinking power and man hours. But it ends up being totally worth it. And I mean, ID Core was released over 10 years ago now, 9 years ago, something like that. And it's still one of the best selling practice amps there is. And I think, like you said, that could have easily gone away if it didn't tick all of those boxes. So yeah, I'm incredibly proud of that.
That's awesome. now we've got these two new units here. We've got the Amped 2 and the Amped 3. And I have to admit, so right out of the gate, the Amped 1 was so so game-changing just for me in my own personal thing, okay? I'm not saying for the entire guitar industry and universe, but it also was. I mean, it was a big one. And then to turn around and then all of a sudden these two boxes show up and I'm like, what the hell is this? And I was like, what? How is this even better? Or different?
Well,
yes,
there's a lot of difference.
Now, what I love is that you seem to have taken the path of not falling into the trap that so many other products do, which is, all right, we're going to make a thing. Well, if we're going to make that thing, we need to have everything in it. This needs to be the end-all, be-all, best thing ever. And more often than not, that ends up actually being its own Achilles heel. Because ultimately it will tend to overcomplicate. And at some point they're saying, well, if we're going to make this the biggest, best, baddest thing ever, now your price tends to be, because you're all the work and all the parts and all the things it has to do. And that can make it prohibitive. So then they got to bring it down. They go, well, we can't sell it for that much. Nobody's going to buy it. Well, how are we going to cut corners? So immediately, before you even get out of the gate, people are cutting corners on this biggest, greatest thing ever.
Yeah, for sure.
And I love the fact that you said, we don't need to have one unit to solve all the guitar world's problems. We need to have a method of approach to be able to do that. As a result, we've got these 3 units. Now, I can pause and you can tell me off the side if there's like 3 more of these coming, so I don't look like an idiot.
Oh, Amp 4 is coming out next month, and 5 will be shortly thereafter.
Yeah. I can only handle so much.
No, you're good for right now.
Okay,
we'll stick with these 3 for a while.
And I'm gonna do like just my own light setup. You got Amped 1, which is basically like, here is literally your power source, your amp, for lack of better terms. This is the amp, and really that's all it's supposed to be.
But it goes beyond that, because you have the selection, different tube types or different tube responses.
And that's why I'm painting a simple, because we already had a whole episode about that.
I understand that, but it's,
Where I'm going is that is a great pedal platform.
Yes.
First and foremost, right? Clean amp as a great pedal platform, a clean amp with a lot of flexibility.
But you can dirty it up too.
Stop it. And then you get Amped 2 that comes in, and
so Amp 2 has
Tony,
all of the Amped 1, well, most of the Amped 1.
Yes.
Plus, gosh, just about every type of pedal variety that you could hope for. I mean, you've got a drive section
without being ridiculous.
Well, yeah, but you've got the drive section, you got the modulation section, which gives you a chorus, flanger, tremolo, phaser. You got your delay section with some options there, and then reverb as well. So it's. I mean, this is taking the Amped 1, adding a whole bunch of effects to it,
right?
And
but not exhaustive, and I think that's kind of the key, because it would be impossible to do that, because the minute you open the door to that, it's sort of infinite. And like, when do you wave the flag and say, okay, we've got 100 different delay pedals in here? Do we need that? Yeah. There's already equipment that does that. And then the Amped 3, which is essentially kind of like revisiting the Amped 1, but just making it like mucho muscle, mucho macho, right? And that is for greater flexibility in amp selection and purpose and use, more so than, you know, having different effects and all that stuff. So it's not just simply that you guys are doing like, here's one that's quote unquote better or more expensive. Like, they really are purposeful in their design.
Yeah, it's 3 different flavors. It's 3 different use cases, like you say. And I think you hit the nail on the head for who they're for, what they're for. So if you've already got a pedal board, then you can get an amped one. And now you've got a pedal board with your amp on it. You can leave your amp at home. You can build your sound around the amped one. And then if you want like a one size fits all like replacement of everything, I don't want to take my pedal board anymore, I don't want to take my amp, then an amp 2 is like really all you need for getting a lot of different sounds. And then obviously the amp 3 is just every single channel you could possibly think of with the ISF control on there to sculpt what that channel sounds like. And if you've got a load of pedals as well that you probably already have because you're into gear, then it accepts them really well, and you've got your effects loops and you've got your analog front end input that takes pedals really well. So
yeah, I can see the amped 3 being very useful for people that are doing, aside from, you know, in a gig scenario, I guess, that are doing shows that, you know, they're playing for like 3 hours at bars and stuff, that they're doing all kinds of different music. But I can also see somebody that's doing heavier types of music that needs flexibility within that, this being very, very effective.
Yeah, definitely. We built the Amps 3 especially in mind for the guy that wants, or the person that wants like the flexibility of something like a Series 1, which has got 6 channels of or 4 channels with different voicings, different levels of gain. Like, it's really flexible. It can go from an ultra clean, like American style, like lots of bottom end, really nice mid cut in there, and sparkly top end, for either that metal kind of clean sound or for like super high headroom country stuff, you know. Mm-hmm. Right the way up to like the most gain that you've ever heard. So
yeah, and these are all 100 watt maxed out at 100 watts, but have the variability of going from 1 watt to 20 watt to 100 watt.
Exactly. Yeah, that's also really handy when the pedal's on the floor and you're in 20 watts in your sound check, just to like nudge it up with your toe. Yeah. During the gig to 100. I've done that twice now.
Yeah. Nice. Let's spend a little bit of time first with the Amped 2. Whoever, I'm assuming this is you that kind of maybe did this, but you know, one of the things that I enjoyed about Amped 1 was trying to dial in, you know, the sound that I felt was going to be good for me on a daily use, to see like how could I use this in my current band, and where I landed after lots of tweaking and all kinds of stuff was basically the classic setting. So on amplifier, you have USA, UK, and classic.
Yeah.
I said, well, I don't know what that is. I'm going to start there first. And I kid you not, and I said this on the podcast after. I must have spent an hour and a half. I didn't do anything else to it. I hit that, I turned it on, I plugged in, and I honestly, I played for like an hour and a half. I just absolutely loved the tone that was coming out. And I also had a brand new guitar at the time, which was also like really loving this.
So what is the classic setting based off of?
So the classic was, rather than going down like historical things or saying it was a Blackstar channel, it's kind of the Blackstar sound of an overdrive channel, which comes from obviously like Blackstar. The guys left Marshall to start the Blackstar company,
Right.
And their whole thing was taking that overdrive sound and making it more usable. So the top end is sculpted in a certain way that means you can hear the note definition of every string, and it doesn't ever get too fizzy where it's where you want to turn down the treble, but when you do that, you don't get the right response. So that was where the Classic came from, really, which is like a mid gain, something more like the Super Crunch on a Series 1. That you can still like have the drive section of Amp 2 like into that to make a heavier kind of tone. But we didn't want to add so much gain to that basic amp sound. So yeah, that's where it kind of stemmed from.
I tell you what, I've mentioned this so many times on our show whenever I'm talking about tone and things that I'm trying to find as far as drive, the tone that I get for my guitar in recording and in live situation, I always say I want like a knuckle sandwich in the face. Like I want a punch. I want a fair amount of growl, but I need the articulation in it too, because I'm the only guitar player, and I, some of my guitar heroes that I've mentioned in the past, Billy Duffy from the Cult, and Billy Zoom. They both are in similar situations where they bring a lot of drive but a lot of articulation, and that's one of the things that's been kind of tricky for me to achieve on my own. And the fact that you basically just created a thing that does that so well, that's what I responded to, honestly, because I was like, I can hear my notes if I really dig in. It's just not turning into distortion mush.
That's the thing that I think is an interesting one, because there's a different thing for a really sculpted amp channel sound or compared to like a clean channel amp with an effects pedal board that has got a bunch of different drives on. It's a real different kind of sound that I didn't really know about until I joined Blackstar.
Uh-huh.
And it's only when you can really turn up a 100-watt valve amp and experience that thing that you go, oh, that's what it is. Like you say, that punch, that articulation without being just like mushy drive.
Yeah.
And I think it's easy to get sounds, especially when you got a bunch of pedals to play with, that work for that one specific thing. But that's the thing I love about the Blackstar Drive sound is like, it's everything that you want, and you can kind of build around that. But it gives you that kind of the feedback that you need, and it gives you that articulation that you need.
Yeah, for sure. And you have taken some of the tube, I guess, responses. Is that how we would like to classify that?
Yes.
And not all of them. And one of the fun things about Amped 1 is that you've got, I think, 8 different selections, including a linear, which would just be no response. 5, 6, 6.
The linear is
6.
6.
Yes.
Linear is 6. Okay. And here you've cut it down to the EL84, EL34, and the 6L6, which is basically what you really desire in the USA, UK, and Classic.
I like 6V6 too.
Okay. Then get the Amp 1.
I'm a
Get the
purist.
Amp 1,
I'm a
Tony.
purist.
Everyone's got their favorite. I love the EL34. Sorry, the EL84.
84
that's my favorite.
Yeah. 84 in the Classic is just like, woof.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
So this has, we've spent a lot of time on the amped part, but let's not forget about, you've got an entire drive section too. And in that you've got a boost, you've got a drive, which would be like an overdrive, and then you've got a fuzz as well. And that's all controlled. You've got 4 foot switches down at the bottom, 1 for drive, 1 for modulation, 1 for delay, and 1 for reverb. So you've kept the form factor very tidy and very easy to use, and not gig clumsy. I guess you could say, when you're stepping all tippy-toeing on things so that you don't step on things you're not supposed to. This is very, very easy to navigate in that situation. And then on your modulation, you've got chorus, which is a chorus/flange, a tremolo, and a phaser, with 3 controls for that: time, depth, and level.
Yeah.
And then in the modulation section, you've got your sorry, that was your modulation. Sorry,
delays.
Then the delay, you got the linear, analog, and shimmer, which is, it's like if you're just punching around and you're not trying to spend tons of time coming up with all of the greatest effects and just need some really solid options here, your drive, modulation, and delay sections here absolutely deliver on that.
That's nice to hear as well. Yeah, keep those coming. Keep compliments on that.
Compliments are welcome. And then the reverb section.
Yeah, the reverb section: room, spring, and plate. Okay.
All bases covered.
Yeah. If you don't have a timeline, boom. And then let's see here. One of the things that we get the most comments on, like if we have this in the room or I'm showing other people, and it's one of the silly things maybe to some people not thinking about it. They're just like, oh, what do we need? We need a foot switch. Well, I know what those look like. I know what we can get for that. You guys did something completely different with the foot switches. Where did that come from? Tell us about the genesis of that.
Sorry, what do you mean the difference in the foot
They're
switch?
squashed.
They're squashed, yes. So that came from, what was the first product that we did? Was squash foot switches. I think it was the foot controller for the ID Core High Power. It was something we spent a lot of time for the spacing of the foot switches, so you can press 2 buttons at once, but also you don't press 2 buttons at once when you don't need to. And there was a whole thing about, again, from the human-centered design of watching people use things and making it easier, solving the problems for those specific things. Maybe you don't know you've got the issue with something until someone's given you the answer to it. So that was our idea for the answer for. We've got a specific depth of the amp because it's got an amplifier in it. It's got to be bigger than a normal pedal. And then you got to press 2 things at once sometimes to get like the tuner on. So that was it could have gone either way on the amps, but I think we made the right choice of the squashed.
I love it.
Foot pedals.
I absolutely love them. I would love to have these on just regular pedals too.
Mm-hmm. You like them?
I do. I like. Yeah. Can you like sell me a bag of them?
We'll send you a gross of them.
Yeah, we have a thing called the black market. We sell these nifty parts. You just mentioned something, the human-centered design. You've brought that up a couple times. I would love to know if you have a couple things off the top of your head that you remember being either surprised about or that you guys all had like a aha moment when you saw something happen that you're like, oh, let's do something to address this.
Yeah, I think the aha moment is probably less of a thing with human-centered design. It's more of a journey that we end up going on and end up with something that someone uses and they go, oh yeah, I know how to use this. Like you're describing how to use the amp too. You don't need to know anything about it. You don't need to open the user manual ever, because it's all laid out in a way in front of you that you expect it to work. And sometimes you look back on the first designs of a feature set, And you go, what were we thinking? Of course, like we needed the level control on the right hand side, and the tap tempo on the over here and the switch over there. But the kind of aha moments is just a lot of tweaking along the way of like, oh, well, that person struggled with this, so maybe we should do this. And we've heard feedback of this, so maybe we should do this. That came from probably the first time we did that was the ID the ID series effects section. So how do we get the most amount of effects that everyone will want, but not fill the panel with knobs or a screen or menus within menus? And we want a lot of different types on there. And we want to be able to tap tempo, and we want segment control of different amounts and also different level. And that ended up being 2 knobs and 4 buttons that we could control 12 effects in, and every parameter of them. And when you look at it now, you go, yeah, of course, that's how it should work. That's kind of obvious, right? But when you start with a blank piece of paper and how are we going to make this, it doesn't really jump out at you. So all of that stuff needs to be gone through that process of listening to the market, understanding the problems that people have, and what they want as well. Because it's all about self-expression, isn't it? It's all about getting a sound that you want really quickly. You flicking onto the classic sound and turning a few knobs and getting the sound that you want. And that's the most important thing on any Blackstar product.
Love it. I'm very interested in that whole thing. We talk so much about that on the show. Just like it's all about what we like, why we like it, what we don't like, what we wish people would change. Why do they keep doing this? Why don't they? And it's clear. It's so clear in the design of these products, the amped products that. Boy, you guys have listened and you've really paid so much attention to it. And I love mini toggles. Oh my gosh. These are like micro toggles. Like yeah. I kind of have a weird, like I need a box of them.
On that subject, I was kind of curious. I mean, I'm sure that you do some extensive testing on components and things like that, because let's face it, if one of these things fails, the unit itself probably can't be repaired. Is that correct?
We've got the repair centers kind of globally. And,
so if a switch fails or a pot fails or something like that, it can be redone. Yeah,
it can be replaced. It's another thing, like especially with the amps, there's so much stuff in there.
Yeah.
In the smallest kind of box that we can put stuff in. We had to take some kind of like, well, it can't be 100% serviceable. Though, I mean, most of the stuff in there is like pot switches. We'll be fine replacing those, especially with the warranty that we give. So
yeah, I think that's important because that was one of the downfalls of a lot of the all-in-one units of years ago, and rack units and things like that. Pretty much, if something failed, it was not easy to fix. You couldn't just send it somewhere.
Or it was going to be a crap ton of money.
Oh, yeah. You could buy a new unit for sometimes what some of the things.
Well, even smaller multi-effects units that are out there right now. There's so much being jammed into something that people had to come up with products like, the Flint Effect Stomper to protect those knobs. Anyways.
Maybe you could have one big Flint go over the top of everything.
I want to know, before we get into the Amped 3 here, There's a famous story of movie lore that happened where the principals from Pixar were having a lunch together, and in that lunch was laid out basically on napkins. They came up with Toy Story, Bug's Life, Finding Nemo, and WALL-E, based on a sort of a collection of human needs, human emotives, and just a couple of central ideas. These movies were born, and I'm curious to know, was this what we're seeing right now, the amped 1, 2, and 3, in a similar kind of ideation, or was it we came up with the amped 1 and then we said, wait, what if we did this and what if we did this?
Almost. So we came up with, it was like 3 days locked in a room with a lot of whiteboards. It was me.
Did you say white balds or white? Because there are a lot of white balds at the place.
There was both in the room,
Okay.
but the whiteboards. Things that you write on. So we came up with pretty much the concept of amped 2 and 3 through a lot of heated discussions with me and the rest of the team, because what we really wanted was one that does everything. That's where we started. But then it was very clear after a little conversation that, we can't have the multi-channel, every channel of a like multi-channel amp in one, with also what I wanted, which was a load of pedals like included in the same box. And then we couldn't have that made it super simple to, if you already have your pedal board, to like the amped 1, what became the amped 1. So we came up with the 2 and the 3 kind of together. For the 2 was always referred to as my one, because what I wanted was 3 lowish gain channels, and a replacement for all the pedals on my pedal board. And it needed to sound like it needed to actually replace all the pedals on my pedal board, not just be, and it's got some stuff.
Yeah.
And the kind of Ian's argument was what he would want, which is basically a series 1 on the floor. So all of the channels that we do, from like super clean to super distorted, with some presets within that, so you can just press one button and simply get to the core sound that you needed. So that ended up being 2 products, the Amp 2 and 3. And then the Amp 1 really started out as a power amp, like a rack power amp with response. The response section, because that's something that we've worked on for a long time. It's been on amped. It's been on the ID series. It started out as TVP on ID series, and is a really powerful thing. Just the response section with a power amp in a box is really powerful. And then it was like, well, it should really be a pedal on the floor, shouldn't it? So you can connect your pedals to it and use it like that. And then it should be, it should have a couple of preamps inside. So the Amped 1 was the one that changed the most along the journey, but then actually became kind of the base of like the 2 and 3.
That is interesting. And obviously very, very purposeful. It was coming from a sense, a place of need and musicianship, not necessarily. It doesn't sound like it was just filling a market hole, No,
I mean the thing is at Blackstar, we've got so many guitarists that work here. Almost everybody that works at Blackstar is a guitarist. So if we're just trying to fill that market hole, like you say, and just go, yeah, that will do. We can do 1 rather than doing 2 because it will be easier, right?
Yeah.
We would get a lot of angry employees.
Yeah, for sure. Let's talk a little bit about the Amped 3. I think this one is, well, obviously it's the one that just came out. The Amped 2 was released last month, I believe, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Correct.
So the Amped 3 is the black one. So this is black anodized metal. The Amped 2 is red anodized metal, which they both look absolutely gorgeous. They're the kinds of units that when you don't want to, you just want to pick them up and hold them and touch all the things and everything. It's really amazing. I will say on the Amp 2, arguably my favorite surprise feature was the tuner.
Yeah.
Just because, there you go. That I literally don't need. I can plug her in and I'm good to go. Love it. Okay, so on the Amp 3, this is an amp powerhouse. This is, as you said, this is all the channels you could possibly need to sculpt your amplification needs and tone.
Correct.
Give us sort of the rundown of what we can expect when we get the Amp 3.
So the Amp 3, so out of the box, it's got a really easy kind of usability features. Every knob on there is labeled in a way that you'll know what it is. Every foot switch is labeled in a way that you know what it is. And out of the box, it comes in preset mode. So it's got 2 modes, preset and then manual. Preset is like, I've set these 3 sounds that I want over these clean, crunch, and kind of drive settings. On your cleans, you've got a choice of like the UK or the USA. The UK gets a little bit more crunchy, a bit more like a pushed valve amp. Mm-hmm. And the USA is very, very open, so almost never distorts. It does when you get right up there, but just like adding nice warm harmonics rather than like a lot of clipping. And then your crunches, which are kind of more super crunch on a Series 1, or like you can think of it like a JCM 800, a low gain Freeman kind of thing. And then a kind of lower gain one, which is like you could think of it something like a pushed AC30, a matchless, like some kind of boutique thing. And then you've got the OD channels, which are like incredibly high gain. You can get anywhere from like kind of nice rhythm, kind of real chunky kind of high gain, down to the kind of more modern metal high gain, which is like a lot of bottom end rolled off. So you still get the articulation, incredibly high amounts of gain. And within the kind of preset mode, you can set your favorites over like clean, crunch, and overdrive, and just like recall those one press of a button. So clicking your cleans is going to go to your favorite cleans. Clicking your OD is going to go to your favorite OD. And then you've got a boost, which is kind of a global, like a pedal style boost. And that can be either pre, which is going to add more like distortion, more drive, or it can be post. So it's just going to add more level with a controllable amount. So if you wanted that kind of more drive for a section, you can have it pre. If you wanted more level in a solo, or for when you're performing rather than sound check, then you can put it post.
That's a really neat functionality bit there that I think usually when you see all these pedals, you don't think, oh, do I want it before or after?
Yeah.
So that was really clever.
Yeah, so the thing that you can tweak 5 minutes before you go on stage.
Yeah, exactly.
So, you got a little bit of
all
that.
my problems again.
No, Todd always has at least 15 minutes before he goes on.
Yeah, exactly. And then you've got a reverb, which is, again, a pedal style reverb. So you just click it on and off. Really simple to use.
You do have the option of dark and light there, which isn't, I don't believe is a functionality on Amp 1.
Yeah, so on all of the amped range, the reverbs will have, you can connect any of the amped ranges to the Architect software, so on PC or Mac.
Right.
Okay. Where you can kind of tweak a few.
We need to
bits.
get to that too, so don't let us forget that.
Yeah, so you can tweak a few little bits within that. But yeah, the reverb is just a really good sounding reverb. You got time and tone. Time is just a very useful feature. It sounds like not too much of a big deal, but for when you've got like a lot of time on a clean sound, it sounds brilliant. When you've got a short sound on a short time on an OD sound, is that kind of flexibility that you need. So
yeah. Now, one thing that I found curious is that the crunch, and this may be just a cultural thing, I'm not really sure, or maybe it's just me. When we think of crunch, we think of higher gain. When we think of overdrive, we think of lower gain. Yes, and so when I hit crunch, I was like, that's, and then I hit overdrive. I was like, wait a minute, overdrive feels way more gainy and what we would call crunchy, or I don't know, more distorted. Yeah. So I was just curious: is it just me? Am I is kind of getting that confused, or?
But maybe it's just because I've been in Blackstar land for so long. But I've always thought of crunch as more like the pushed low gain, like valve amp kind of thing, and then overdrive is like overdrive.
Yeah. It was a curious thing when I clicked on it, and I was like, am I doing something? I felt like I was doing something, because then it goes super crunch, and that's when then I realized, I said, no, I'm doing it right on here, but I was just curious.
Maybe we need to make you a little Dymo label with something else on it.
Yeah.
A little bit more and loads.
Yes.
There we go. That's human-centered design right there. You're getting feedback from the market.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, you don't design for Todd.
Yeah, don't do that.
Todd's the obsession.
Well, I mean, we encourage everybody who's listening, please go and find out more about these on the Blackstar amp site. And this is under the Section 10, which is right. This is Section 10. Department 10. Sorry, Department 10, which is sort of their featuring ideation section. Correct?
That's right. Yeah, R&D is Department 10.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned something, the architect. And when I got the Amped 1, I noticed that there was 3. To your point, I didn't go into the user manual because I was like, I don't need it. This is just, I get it, just coming out of the box. But then it had these 3 presets for cab on the back, and I was like, well, is that just limited to that? Like, I didn't actually realize that the architect was a thing until I dug into it more, and then when we started talking with Ian. Can you tell us? Let's talk about architect and why it's so incredibly useful and smart.
So Architect is the kind of app on PC and Mac that we can connect all of our range of digital products to. So anything from an ID Core all the way up to the Amped range, and even the St. James series of valve amps can connect to Architect to do some kind of deeper editing. So with the Amped range, you can control, as they're digital products, you can control all of the knobs on the front panel. You can also like preset some like extra features. So if you're on your effects loop to be series or parallel, that's a kind of deeper setting that you can set there. Or if you want your default reverb to be longer or shorter. So on the Amped 1, it's just got one knob reverb. But if you want to go in and kind of dial that tone in, then you can do that within the Architect software. And also another section to the Architect software is Cab Rig, which is kind of our version of solving the same problems of like IRs or like speaker sims or similar things. So we've got a bunch of different cabs in there with a bunch of different microphones in different positions. So then out of the XLR output on any of the Amped range, you can get a an IR signal or a speaker SIM signal straight to front of house. So if you don't want to connect to a cab and have a loud stage, you can just hand the XLR to the front of house, and you can get the same sound kind of every night, and it's going to sound absolutely killer because it's coming directly from one unit.
Nice.
Super, super easy to use too. I have the Torpedo X, the Captor Torpedo X, and that was sort of my first foray into some of the cab modeling and fine tuning everything and getting that to work within as I'm recording in Logic and trying to find sounds and everything. And one of the things that we talked about with Ian is that that was a pretty important piece of gear, and seeing how that's been pulled into a couple of other amp manufacturers. I think Laney is one that we referenced, where they've got their amp, and then they also put in like the Captor X kind of feature into that. And one of the things that I really appreciate, and I think it's very much worth noticing or taking note of, rather, about the Amped one and including the St. James amps that we talked about last time, is that you're not adapting someone else's thinking and functionality and programming and all the other product development into something that you've already spent a ton of time on your own. This is all coming from the same origin. This is the same brains. This is the same people. This is the same product that is supplying not only your form factor, the actual unit, but the thinking behind architect and how to further create and help manipulate that sound on the back end. And to me, that's what I liken to when I'm dealing with an Apple product. That's the reason that we gravitate towards those things, because they're smart and it's all one thing, and it's not like getting a Dell or something where you have no idea who's making all the stuff and nobody wants to talk to each other and it's just a big mess. And I also think about that in the same sense of Porsche design. I worked at a Porsche restoration shop for several years, and the design thinking that went into that, and knowing that it was all controlled by that single way of going about something and not some ginormous bureaucracy, made the product better. And I think that is a huge part of the success of these products.
Yeah, I think like you said, I don't want to repeat the same things that you said with Ian, but it's just, it helps so much with tone sculpting and getting the sound in your head, because it's all one system. So especially with IRs, like there's so many of them around, and they can be really great on one thing, but sound really, really bad on something else. So like it all being a part of the Architect software and being in your one unit is just like, it makes everything so much easier for just plug in and play. Yeah. And then you're doing the thing that you really want to do. You're playing. You're not like going through menus, or you're not trying to install your drivers for two different things that don't want to communicate with each other properly.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's what I liked about the Amped 1, and now, of course, the Amped 2 and 3 is they're very intuitive to use. You don't, even if you don't use the Architect software, the average player can just plug in
and go, set
some knobs and go, because they look very familiar. They're, it's like if you've ever used an effects pedal, they're very easy to do. But I had a question concerning: is there a feature or a function that players might overlook that you wanted them to explore?
Definitely, the hold function, which is like my favorite thing. And I fought a long time. Not fought. That's a wrong word. But I was really like passionate about getting this in. So on the Amp 1, 2, or 3, they've all got the reverb. So if you press, when reverb is on, if you press and hold the reverb, then it's going to freeze that reverb sound. So you can like get a really kind of ethereal sound just by pressing and holding that. And then on the Amp 2, you can also do that for delay and modulation. So delay is going to freeze the tails, and the modulation is going to get more intense. So yeah, that's like super cool, like deep.
You got big
deep
smiles
feature.
over here. Because I'm so glad that we asked that question, because with this much functionality, surely there's got to be something that people are going to overlook, and that's something that both of us overlooked.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
That's cool.
yeah. I've had people do reviews and find this by accident, and they came up to me going, "Do you know that it does that? It's so cool." I said, yeah, we know it does it.
Brilliant. Well, I'm really thrilled that we got to talk to you about these, Alex, and I'm so pleased to meet the person, one of the people. I understand there's more. It's more than you, but
No, it's all just me.
You, yeah, you know, as the admiral at the helm of this stuff, I'm just pleased that we got to hear it straight from you. That goes a long way for us as people who like to speak with the people that are making the things.
No, it's brilliant. It's been really great to talk to you guys. Obviously, you know what? I really want to tell you about all the stuff that we're working on now that I know I can't, but
So wait,
I'm right there with you, man. I'm sorry to interrupt. I'm right there with you. I also could spend 3 hours talking about stuff that's coming out the next 2 years, but that's the restrictive part of being in product development.
yeah.
So,
Okay, well, we'll just look forward to future product releases and episodes then.
Definitely.
Yeah,
definitely.
very cool.
Keep you in the loop.
Now, we do have one more feature that we've got here, and we're going to hop in the old El Camino and head down to Jared. We're going to get a couple of ice cold RC Coca-Colas.
RC Cola.
Yeah.
Royal Crown.
And stop by his house. Jared, what are we doing?
Ladies and gentlemen, it's come to the time of the podcast where we like to play a game called Would You Rather? I'm trying to find the email right now.
That was the extended version.
Yeah.
That's right. Ladies and gentlemen, this one's from our buddy Stu Shaley here. So you're walking down the street.
Walk.
And that crazy genie you keep running into is back. Of course,
man.
I love the genie.
Yeah. This time he grants you one wish of his choice. He hands you the SG style guitar of your dreams. The only catch is you cannot take the strap off. You know, the strap is eternally affixed onto the SG of your dreams. Mm-hmm. You have the choice of two. One that grips perfect, but needs adjusted for length about every song. Oh, man. Or the other keeps its length, but it is super slick, making you fight that neck dive. The choice is yours. Do you want a nice grippy, but you have to adjust all the time? Or do you want a slick? That's, that slip and slides and all that kind of thing. And the good thing about the slick thing, you can kind of like push your guitar around the whole body and do one of those 360 guitar slings.
Oh, nice. I do that all the time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I'm sure you do.
Okay.
So there you have it.
All
A
right.
or
So
B.
the choice of two, one that grips perfect. This is the SG style of your dreams. So you really stuck with one of two kinds of straps, grippy or super slippy.
Well, the grippy has to be adjusted. Now, let me ask you this, Jared. The one that needs to be adjusted, does the strap lengthen or shorten?
Both. It'll lengthen and shorten.
Oh, so it's
But
just
you have
it's
to.
like
But no matter what, it will need adjusted every song.
every song. Okay.
Yeah.
Does it wait till the end of the song, or is it in the middle of the song?
This is when this got sent
In
to
between
me,
songs.
when this got sent to me, I said, why do you hate me so much? Because this is something that we've actually talked about at length here. All right, so Tony, we're going to check in with you.
Okay.
And then we're going to go to Jared and then wind up with Alex and myself.
Well, I really cannot stand slippery straps. They just, if it's not sitting on my shoulder just right, it drives me crazy. Likewise, I can't stand a strap that lengthens or shortens and stuff. Although I think I can live with that one a little bit more. So I think I'm going to go with option 1, which is the strap that needs adjusted after every song. As long as it doesn't do it in the middle of the song, I guess I'd be okay with that. But option 1 for moi.
Okay. Jared?
I'm going to go with the slick. I'm not going to adjust it or anything. I'm just going to go with the slick Rick. And
Knock him off the block,
Yeah.
Rick. Off the block, Rick.
yeah, I'm going to go with the slick one, and so I can
Do those
not have to adjust
those
it. I'm
big
not doing it.
360s. You're going to do those 360 guitar twirls?
Nah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you can, right? Because the strap's never, ever
You
coming
can't
off.
because it's like a ukulele on you.
Well, that's what the genie says about the strap.
Whatever the
I feel
genie
safe.
says.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. Alex, you going for a strap that grips perfect but needs adjusting, or is it keeps its length but is super duper slicky?
I think I'll go slick. I feel like I could control it. I feel like I could grip it with my hands.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm with you on that one. I don't like something that is constantly pulling, like my shirt. I've tried leather straps and stuff in the past, and have absolutely hated it. And I have to rely on my sort of muscle memory in order to play through a full set. So having different lengths of the strap all the time is would make me insane. So I'm going slick on that one too.
Well, thanks a lot, guys, for stranding me on Tony Island.
Yep.
Once again.
It happens.
All the time.
Indeed. And that was a great one, Stu. Thank you very much. Tony, we need to thank a few people, and then we're going to let Alex get back to his painting.
Painting of the garden house.
Yes.
So at this point of the show, Todd, there's a very special group of people we love to thank. These are our executive producers. Now, an executive producer makes this show possible. How do you become one? Well, you go over to patreon.com/the Guitar Knobs. Check out a couple different levels in which you can participate, become a sponsor of this very podcast. Each level comes with some very nice thank you gifts and giveaways and a handwritten note from Todd, by the way.
Ooh. Reframe that.
Yes, we will. And but there's one thing more. Jared, what is that?
You get to have your name read on the thing.
Name read on the thing. That's what I'm going to do right now. So special thanks to these executive producers. Moon Guitars, Vaderin Pedals, John Helverson, Rick Calhoun, Trevor Gunberg, Elad Mizrahi, Micah D, Richard Kendall, Mark Garton, Matt Hart, James White, Justin Jones, Anthony Gemalero, Bill Gola Guitars, John Esterly, Anthony Lathrop, Stefan Lamb, Michael Senchuk, Ken Sayers, Doug Christ, Darren Gregory, Tom Brazen, Rusty Sneeden, Ralph Gottschalk, Don Kloss, Gregory Randall, Brett Hogarth, Eric Hemmer, Stuart George, Michael Furman, Andrew DeHaan, James Bell, and James Romer.
Oh, yeah.
James and James.
Yes.
But Todd, there's more.
Please.
Don't interrupt.
Let's go on.
I know you want to.
I do.
I see you looking at me.
I do.
There's another group of executive producers. We call them our Grand Poobahs. These are the creme de la creme, the top of the heap. And they get a fez to wear on their head, in addition to all the other great stuff. We love our Grand Poobahs. So special thanks to these Grand Poobahs: Tommy Manasco, Ricardo Iguereda, David Kaminga, Brandon Wound Pickups, Hex Matos, Michio Murakishi, Bob Crouch, Jack Cadian, Sam Jett, Tyler Rhines, LSJ Music Company, John Williams, James Pennington, Adam Johnson, Steve Keys, Cody Foster, Science of Sound, Brian Robinson, Jonathan Jerusik, Corey Nigro, Michael Van Zant, Tim Nowak, Jonathan Daly, Martin Cliff, Sean S., David Poe, Billy Spitfire Unlimited, Congregation Gear Demos, Paul Von Eppinger, Scott Sullivan, and Great Lakes Guitar Pickups. Thank you.
Right.
Thank y'all. Thank y'all.
Thank you all so very much. We couldn't do this without you. And,
No.
we hope we get some more supporters. If you're thinking about it, do it. It'll make you feel good. It'll make us feel good too. We need to say a huge thanks to Alex for joining us.
No, thanks for having me anytime, and you'll have me back when I can tell you all about the new things.
I absolutely will. Where is the best place for people to go to learn more about these products, Alex?
So blackstaramps.com and all our social media stuff, of course. Don't look at my videos on YouTube because I just wave my hands too much.
I'm looking at those first.
Absolutely. That's the first thing we're doing as soon as we get done with this. Tony, where can people find you?
Oh, just go over to pickguardian.com. Check out some of the wares I have available. By and large, what I do is custom pickguard work. So shoot me an email. Let me know what you need, what you're trying to do, and I'll take good care of you.
Perfect. Jared?
You can get a hold of me, jared.allen.brandon on Instagram. Send me a question or whatever. We'll talk about pickups and stuff.
Perfect. Nice. You can shoot me an email, Todd at theguitarknobs.com, or DM me on Instagram, which is the most popular option, at Guitar Knobs. Love to talk to you. Love to hear what's going on in your own music world. And ladies and gentlemen, Blackstar, go get yourself some of this awesome amped 1, 2, or 3 gear. I promise you, you will not be sorry. Asterisks, no legal stuff about it. Anyways, hey, everybody, have a fantastic guitar weekend. Subscribe!
Yeah.
It's like,
and hot chicken.
Yeah. Here,
give me some hot chicken.
Give you a tourism pamphlet you can study while we're on the show. Actually, I'll share the story. Hopefully this doesn't weird you out too much, but
we are recording.
I know, but well, I added this. Tony, how would you describe yourself physically?
Beautiful. Sexy.
Big, bold, and beautiful.
Big, bold, and beautiful. And
Right, got it.
Brassy and sassy. Whoever's got the hot mic and the mouse, it's like flicking.
It might be me.
Stop clicking your mouse, Jared.
It was
testing 1, 2. Test. Is this better? Test.
Just stop clicking your freaking mouse.
Yeah, the mic is fine. Clearly. Okay.
It's hard to think of what 4 would be, but yeah, I think I've got a shot.
Okay, mine no tuners.
Okay. Amps for sure.
No, my dog's ringing the bell to go outside. If I don't let him out, he'll take a dookie inside.
So Alex,
sorry, man. Apologize.
It's okay.
Just
go do the thing.
We got nothing else better to do, Jared.
Cripes. All right, you clown.
What happens if you start ringing the bell?
Well, you look out, grass, because you're about to get fertilized.
What an idiot I am.
Jared
will give you a neck problem because he's 6'8" and 340. So picture a door. And then with eyeballs.
The door's a little flatter now too. So,
and away we go.
Well, that's it for these knobs. Please visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/theguitarknobs. Visit our website at theguitarknobs.com for all of our past episodes, 4 on the Floor blog, and other good stuff. You can connect with us on social too at our Facebook page and share your gear and stories on our Facebook group. Also, be sure to check out our Instagram at Guitar Knobs. Catch you next time.